What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So by now we have all heard Pixelborn is shutting down, which isn't going to change a whole lot for our channel, thankfully. We do typically show 1 to 2 replays, or 2 to 3 I guess, before each deck profile video. Instead, I'm going to show highlighted cards, matchups, meta cards, each matchup, and show interactions of those cards and kind of make some nice infographics and use that instead of the gameplay footage. However, we can still hop on over to Dreamborn. We can still go through the cards. We will still talk about the cards. Like I said, we'll just have to explain that a lot better and get better visuals, since we cannot show the gameplay footage until we get, hopefully, an official simulator. And if we don't, well, then we won't. In addition to this, I do plan on trying to get some in real life footage whenever I can make it to my locals. And speaking on that, I have a case tournament this weekend for a first chapter, so we're going to see how well we can do there. We're going to be taking our super duper top secret deck. We got 48 of our games in on Pixelborn. Going to try to get to 100 before it shuts down and do that big in-depth breakdown. Also going to try and squeeze in a day to go live, maybe playing that deck possibly, and do our monthly giveaway for May. Those 4 Ursula Deceivers of All. Today is the last day for Patreons to get in on that giveaway. And hint, hint, cough, cough, next month we are going to do an enchanted giveaway. I'm not going to say which one yet, but it is worth over $300 at the moment. So you guys can speculate on that, but maybe in the next video or the following one, sometime next week early, we will announce which enchanted we are giving away to a Patreon. And I do have a just regular giveaway for subscribers on here, where all you'll have to do is watch for the video, comment on that video, and be subscribed. So make sure you come back, hit that bell, hit that button, and don't go anywhere. But that is enough talking. We're going to go ahead and jump on in. Today we have Anti-Meta, Evasive, Emerald Ruby, and 3, 2, 1, let's go. So our first replay is against Mufasa Roulette, or is it against the Ruby Song? So our opening hand, we have Goofy, Lumiere, Ursula, Curse Merfolk, Double Dawn Carnage, and Diablo. A few cards you will see in these replays did not make it into the final cut video. After playing the deck a bunch, I made some choices and changes, and that's the deck list we'll show at the end of it. But the general concept of the deck stays the same. Apply early pressure with Merfolk and Flynn Rider, and then the mid game we get into those evasives when our opponents started to sing Let the Storm Rage On with their Cinderella and bait cards like that out, and then we get into those, like I said, evasives and get harder to deal with our opponent. In this matchup, if it's Mufasa Roulette, Ursula is useless. If it is Ruby Song, Ursula is actually really good. So I guess at the moment though, we don't know which one we're going for. So I'm like, let's go ahead and we're going to take the risk, get rid of her. I don't need Goofy yet. The Dawn Carnages are whatever. We're going first. So going first, the nice interaction actually with like Merfolk plus Lumiere is Merfolk kind of acts as a, say, Maleficent biding her time, a Lilo, where it's going to deal 1 damage to your opponent, and they're going to actually have to discard a card. So it just works out really nice. We hit a Maui Tinkerbell, Ray that we inked, and another Dawn Carnage. So seeing Mulan come down, I'm really assuming that we mulliganed correctly and that it is in fact the Mufasa Roulette. And see, like in this scenario, that Lumiere means if he tries to crash with his Mulan, he's going to lose the card, and he knows it. So because of that, he actually can't come after it. Maui's Fishhook, another card that ended up not making the final cut. We have enough evasives that it just does not matter. Then we can go ahead, and now we have the Diablo come down, which another neat interaction here. Lumiere means Diablo has 3. Medusa can still get it. However, the Sisu 8-drop cannot hit your Diablo once the Lumiere is there. Lumiere will disappear, and Diablo will then revert back to 2. But at the time that Sisu checks, that will not happen. Genie on the Job. This is another card that didn't make the final cut because we'll talk about that when we get into the deck profile. Brawl, this card is absolutely crazy. It's like the only non-character card that we are going to play. And like right there, we hit the dock, so he can't try to like he can't get into a 5-cost card now on this turn. 4-drop, there's a really strong chance a Rapunzel comes down and he draws 3 cards. And then say the Mother Gothel can then take out the Cursed Merfolk, and instead a second dock comes down. So it's not Rapunzel, he's probably still trying to dig for it. We can go ahead and get rid of that oh wow, can't even talk. The Pegasus, play the Pegasus. I seriously like just could not talk there. We take a 10-0 lead. Our opponent's going to go ahead quest. Shift Mulan, which is actually really good there because now it can be used right away. Put the 5 damage on the Merfolk because even though it has 1 willpower, it does still deal 5 damage. And then he can take out our 2 other cards. In this instance, you could have argued to just put the Maui down, I guess. And by putting the Maui down, you get 3 next turn. However, I was like, I can do it this way, trade with his board, leave him with the dock. He'll play another card, but then I can come back with Flynn or potentially a Genie even and slow him down. The Bee King Undisputed, not too bad because it kind of takes up his whole turn. So again, he quests with the dock. We have Genie where we can bounce the dock. We hit a Brawl so we can actually get rid of the dock. Then we can play our Flynn. If he doesn't come back with a character with 2 strength, we're going to go to 13. We're in a pretty good spot, especially because then we can say Ink Don Carnage, play Genie. He actually can't put any character down, so we're just going to play the Don Carnage instead. Go to 13. Don't quest in case he has a rush character, which he has not Genie. He has the Maui, so that actually works out really well. But we can go ahead quest 2 with the Don Carnage, play the Genie, bounce the Maui. It's not going to matter because he has no way to give it evasive, and we have 5 questing ready on our turn. So Madame Medusa, however, comes down, can get rid of the Genie, but realistically we quest, and that is going to be the game. And actually the Flynn would have garnered us 3 lore, and then we quest with the Don Carnage on our turn anyway. So now we're into our second replay, this time against Sapphire Steel Wheel. How do I want to approach this one? Part of me wants to go like aggro early, but at the same time I'm like, we're going to keep the Maui for the Hiram so that he'll get the draw 2 off of it, but then we can one-shot the Hiram. I guess technically he'd draw 4 because then he's going to quest with it on the next turn, which isn't ideal, but at the same time, like I said, Maui's the best answer we have for Hiram outside of Brawl. So I guess, do you try to just mulligan everything for a Brawl? I felt like this was still the right call because Maui works with Flynn Rider really well too. So like we're going to go turn 1, hopefully we hit something. Turn 2, Flynn Rider. Turn 3, Mini. Kind of put him on, you have to play characters. You can't go for your straight up ramp plays. Unlike Red Blue though, Sapphire Steel does come out with early characters a little bit more often, but still not always. We see the Hiram get inked, so that's actually pretty nice for us. We have a Brawl for when Hiram does get played. We got a second Flynn. We got quite a bit going for us. Fortisphere comes down, so he gets another draw. Another Fortisphere comes down, gets another draw. We hit that Flynn. I'm not really worried about that Flynn this turn. So now we play our frenemy here, and if he doesn't put a character down, we're going to be in a really, really good spot. So he inks a second Hiram. That means 2 Hiram are gone. Plays a Fire the Cannons. That's just absolutely awesome for us. We're going to get rid of the Pegasus. Having him fire the cannon on a frenemy, that just feels so good, especially when we have another one in hand. So we're going to come back with frenemy once again. If he curves out here with the Hiram, we are going to get 3 from our frenemy once again. Next turn, we can go ahead, Brawl, get rid of that Hiram. He already inked 2 Hiram, so that's 3 Hiram gone. He's got quite a bit in his hand. At this point, too, I'm like, let's get Merfolk down so we can go ahead and start questing. Quest with the Flynn. If he doesn't have any answer, we're going to go ahead and go to 9 next turn. We see a Bell get inked. At 5, he's got to put something down. It's the Cogsworth, which has the 2 attacks, so we're not going to be able to gain off of our Flynn this turn. But we're going to quest with the Merfolk. We're going to dare him to do something about it. we have Maui on board, which has 6 attacks, so that's going to be the strongest character in play. So we're going to get 3 from the Flynn, no matter what. If he decides to challenge, which after the Tinkerbell he doesn't need to, we're sitting in a good spot. So the Zeus comes down also, which is going to be really good for him because, once again, we don't get that lore from the frenemy. However, he sang it with Cogsworth, so Maui can come down, get rid of the Cogsworth. However, now we're in a spot where he could crash the Tinkerbell and also take out the Flynn if he chooses. Instead, he plays the Grab Your Swords and then decides to do nothing with the Tinkerbell, wants to leave it on board. And now we can play our Pegasus. We don't want to play Genie and bounce the Tinkerbell, though, obviously, because Tinkerbell would come right back and deal 1 damage, which would effectively take out our Maui. At this point, I'm wanting to be the aggressor. I'm like, do we do it? Do we not do it? Do we do it? Do we not do it? Because we quest with our Pegasus, we go to 8, and Flynn is there, but if Tinkerbell takes out the Flynn, he can actually deal 2 to the Maui then as well, and he would just gain a lot of advantage because you take out the Flynn, you take out the Maui, your Tinkerbell is still there, and it'll just work for him really well. We come down with our Genie. I was planning on hitting the Cogsworth, completely wasn't thinking about the ward, so we actually can't. At that point then, knowing Tinkerbell's coming back down, we're going to lose the Maui. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world, because we still have 2 multi-questers with Evasive on board. Grab Your Swords would handle the Pegasus, but not the Genie. So say next turn, we can go ahead, quest a Genie, quest a Pegasus, go to 16. We don't have to do anything with the Flynn, but we're going to throw another one down, quest, and pass turn. Grab Your Swords is essentially the only way out of this scenario for him. And even then, he has to find a way to deal with the Genie. So Fire the Cannon comes down, takes out the Pegasus. Fishbone Quill inks his last card, and he essentially admits defeat. So that's kind of the gist on how the deck works. So really piggybacking off the Evasive and the fact that your opponent can't do a whole lot to interact with you, while you also play things like Merfolk, like Charming Rogue Flynn, like your frenemy Flynn with, say, like a Maui as a rush character. And because of this, like, you almost force your opponent to interact with those cards, to use their songs, to use their removal on those cards. And then, like, turn 4 or 5, you just start dropping all your evasives. Just boom, 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 boom with your evasives. And your opponent already used their answers to those evasives on your non-evasive characters to handle them. Or they had to discard their hand in order to challenge them and take them out that way. So the deck just works really good in that regard. And it was a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to build. We're going to continue moving forward with it. So we're playing 16 unequal cards. We technically curve out at 8. However, 6 is pretty much the true top end with where we're at. You'll see, again, this list we're going to go through. Certain cards did not end up making the final cut, and certain other cards did come in. The Merfolk, the Flynn, like I said, they're early threats. Merfolk, Flynn are all early threats to make your opponent really have to do something about it and play your game. They can't set up their ideal turns this way. They have to play into your strategy, so they have to answer and react to your board. In addition to that, we do have the Pegasus, obviously Ursula there for songs. Grab Your Swords being the toughest song. You might see something like an Under the Sea periodically. Otherwise, something like Zeus that handles your Maui, or just blowout cards. Sometimes you'll want to hit with Ursula too. But Grab Your Swords really being the big one there. Or even like a Let the Storm Rage On when they have the Deceiver of All on board. You're going to want to hit that because essentially they're probably going to take out 2 of your characters and draw 2 cards in the process. That's just a lot of advantage for them. So we mentioned the Flynn, and then also, like I said, the Lumiere. Just kind of a nice little buff that works in tandem with our Flynn. For Diablo, it's the draw engine. It's evasive. The card is broken. The card is insane. 2 Wildcats, he's evasive, and he handles item decks. So you can put him down on turn 3 if you're against red-blue, especially if you're on the play. They play their Fishbone Quill. They can ramp with it 1 time, and on your turn you just exert this and get rid of their quill. or you force them to find an answer, but the 3 willpower is actually a pretty good stat line in that regard, because they need like a Zeus to deal with it. So he's got a pretty good stat line, and in this format he's actually a pretty strong card. Minnie Mouse, Stylish Surfer, she's evasive. 1/3 isn't anything crazy. 3 is pretty nice though, because of something like a Grab Your Swords. So like you see in our early plays, other than Ursula, we kind of lose to Grab Your Swords. But as we get into that mid game, because like I said, the early game you're looking more at like your Merfolk, your Flynn, Diablo obviously as soon as you can. But then that mid game of like Wildcat, Minnie Mouse, Tinkerbell, Goofy, these are cards that don't lose to Grab Your Swords. Shifting Pegasus, playing a couple of Rays. Also, we did end up adding in, because I needed answers for when you're playing on the draw or when you're playing from behind, and Sisu felt like a really strong one. Not only is she evasive once again, so she can fit the theme of the deck that way, she can also get rid of your opponent's Flynn, get rid of a Hiram, she can get rid of a Cursed Merfolk. Like, Sisu does actually a lot in this format and is pretty strong overall. If people are playing the new Amber Amethyst build, she gets rid of Perdita. And in our video, a lot of people seem to point out that I did not understand what that deck was doing at all. Well, I actually did understand what the deck was doing, and I understood how it would be into the format we're going into. And when someone linked me the interview that Joshua did, he pretty much confirmed everything I said in my post and got flamed for, and said that the deck would not be good in this format without being changed. And I simply tried to make changes, and everyone freaked out because, I don't know, whatever reasons. Tinkerbell can also give, say, evasive to like if you want to deal with your opponent's evasive, Tinkerbell can give your Goofy evasive, it can give your Maui evasive, it can give your Medusa evasive. So like having her come down and give another character evasive so that you can challenge your opponent's evasives without losing your actual evasives, it just works out really nice. Goofy and Maui being rush characters, because we want to just be able to deal with your opponent's board. Handle the board, take it out, be done with it. Goofy works really nice because you get 2 lore when he challenges. So it's a quick lore gain, and it's pretty much just that. Pegasus, really strong shift. It's a turn 3, it's evasive, it quests for 2. And when you shift Pegasus, it gives everything evasive. So like I said, this is evasive anti-meta, super heavy on the evasive. Ray, just a strong late game threat, drop him down. The 3/3, obviously you'll lose out to like a Medusa, but you drop this card down late, and a lot of time that 3 lore evasive is just too much for your opponent to handle. Maui, not a whole lot else to say about it. We kind of touched on it with the Goofy, the Meta Medusas, and the Sisus. So these are like the meta call cards, putting in the little Sisu, Medusa, and the big Sisu. These cards weren't in the testing video, but I did test with them some, and they're too good not to play. Like I said, we needed ways to interact with our opponent's board if we're playing from behind, or like I said, if you're playing on the draw, you can't just go for the evasive all the time. Sometimes you can, but depending how your opponent curves out, you might have to interact with their board a little bit more than just Maui and Goofy can provide. So like a Madame Medusa, really strong late game card to just gain back control over that board state. And obviously like Sisu, just especially like shift 6 Sisu and quest for 3, or if you get to that late game, just really strong. Versus discard decks, if this is in my hand early, I'm probably going to discard it pretty soon. Like, I don't prioritize her at all. We play her at 2 because, again, you really don't want to see this card hardly ever, but if you do, it's always late into a game. So for that reason, we're just playing the 2 and then playing 4 Brawl. The card is just insane. The card's way too good not to be playing. Like, every Ruby deck should be playing Brawl. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on this deck. I think it truly is a deck that can see a lot of success in this format. I think it's a very fun deck. It is a deck that I'm going to continue playing around with and building. In addition to that, like, share, subscribe, comment down below, all that good stuff. But yeah, have no fear, Pixelborn may be going away, but we are not. We have plans. We have lots of stuff still to go, and I am going to be getting my set for spreadsheet and all my topping deck information compiled for you guys, and maybe we can do some breakdowns and exclusive content on that as well. So let me know what you guys kind of want to see moving forward to help me better provide an experience for you guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.